Hi, everybody. Are you guys able to hear me? Let me know. Let me just see if I can see myself here. Okay. Hi, Earth Angel. How are you? It's so nice to see you. I'm just figuring out here with the technology. I can see myself. Hi. Are you guys able to hear me? Let me know. Okay. Okay. So I hope you can. Let me see here. Is the sound good for you guys? Yes? Okay, good. Thank you, Melcy. Oh my god, it's been a while. So happy to be here. Oh, much love to you guys. I'm so excited. I just got, my surgery I got my wisdom tooth out, but I was like, I don't care. I need to come online and just be with you guys and see if anyone is needing any help. This gate has been super tough on everybody. So I wanted to come on here and just provide a little bit of healing and anything that you might be needing. So if anyone has a question or wants to share something, that would be great. And meanwhile, I'll just start talking about the eclipses, this gate that we're in right now. It kind of feels like a pressure cooker, I think, for many. And we have been having huge transitions. For many, it has been the job. For others, it has been, diseases. It has been so many things that we have had to deal with, or surgeries, or any of these things that kind of make us go inside and make us reassess our lives. Okay. Hi, dear Lulia. Yes, Melcy says feeling some heaviness, nervous energy. Okay. Hi, Salome. How are you guys? Oh, so happy to be here with you. So how are you guys feeling? One of the things that I have been noticing is that there has been super increased telepathy and a lot of things going on also in dream state. And I think we hadn't had that in a while, dreams really being super relevant, or having a lot of activity in dreams and sorting things out. Oh, hi Jade. Louise says it has been tough, an alignment, then out. Yes. And also the body has been taking a lot of energy. It's we are releasing a lot of stuff that we don't need anymore. But of course the body's what's going on? I feel like I'm floating, but at the same time I need to be grounded. So there's this push and pull in the energies that literally feels like that. So we're going to do something today to help you guys with that, to help you kind of like bring everything into balance. And they're showing me this like sand clock, you know, where it has like the smallest part in the middle, to come back to that center, and from there let everything, you know, just basically like flow through you. I think that's like the best thing that we can do for now. And I also think that the eclipse that's going to be on the 10th and the new moon, they're really going to bring, I think for many, a lot of blessings. I mean, you know, for everything that we say like that is very subjective, but when we're talking about energy, it's like we're getting this or gaining this momentum to use that energy to work on that which we have been like changing, or to really, you know, go in the direction where we are being guided to go, you know. Thank you so much, Julia, for your donation. Thank you. So for many, it's like we're closing this chapter and we're opening a new chapter of the book, and we can like literally rewrite everything. So I know many have been struggling a little bit with kind of like this back and forward. Like when we start awakening, it's like we start opening, we start blossoming like a flower. But then there are days when we're like, I don't want to be that open. You know, being open feels scary. Being vulnerable can be very scary. And also, being open to receive means that you're open to everything, right? And that is super scary sometimes especially for the ego, because the ego thinks, well, you know, if I'm open, then I'm open to anything happening to me. But the reality is that if you focus on the soul's perspective, being open for the soul is like the perfect state, is the way that the soul can actually learn the lessons that come into the life of every one of us. And being open means whatever happens, whatever occurs, whether it's a change, whether it's something, you know, unexpected, whether it's whatever happens, you're just open to receiving it and to welcome it. Even if it's not like maybe something that you wanted, you know, or something that you particularly asked for. Maybe it was something completely different and unexpected, but when something makes its way to you and the soul is open to receive that experience can just be elevated. You know, when you decide to see or to touch or to feel, or to even, before you make a judgment even of what is going on, you can just decide to consciously, you know, go up a little bit, a level, see it through your soul's perspective, see it through your, when I say the soul's perspective, I mean your higher consciousness, right? Your divine consciousness. So not the mind, not the emotions, not even like the physical aspect, but, you know, connecting to that which we connect every time we meditate, every time you sit in silence, every time you feel yourself, you feel your soul, to that part of you that knows things, you know? So when we go and when we receive things through that perspective and we connect through that part of us, whatever comes, we're able to even like transmute it as it is happening. We're able to alchemize because we're already open to receive it, and we're welcoming it with love. We're just welcoming it, you know, with the highest part of ourselves. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you guys read the book. I don't know why they're giving me this as reference, but this book by Michael Ende. I think it's called Fantasia, or they made a movie called Fantasia about the book. But there's a scene where there are like these sphinx, and only the person who has like a pure heart is able to walk through. Otherwise, like if you don't have a pure heart, the sphinx will notice, and they will like send these rays and basically like destroy anything that passes through that doesn't have a pure heart. And in a way, when we decide to have that higher perspective, it's like we become immune. We activate that purity within us, we activate that heart. So whatever the challenge is, even if it's like two weird sphinx that, destroy things, whatever it is that we're facing, we're able to, yes, the never-ending story. Yes, Salome, thank you. So we're able to walk through, and it doesn't mean that we don't feel fear. Okay, we may feel fear, we may be afraid, we may not know what's on the other side, we may not even know exactly how to handle the situation or what to do. But if we tap into that, it's like we just have this extra support, we just have this protection that no matter what, we know we're going to be okay. And if this is presenting in my life, this situation, whatever it is, there's a reason for it. Yes, one of the classics. Yeah, I love that. I love that story in the book. Since I was little, it was one of my favorites. So, I was talking earlier today with a couple of divine feminines, and I was listening to their story. And there's a part of us that, can get caught up in many things that happen in the 3D. And this is for everybody. We live in this reality that has certain rules, that operates in a certain way. And especially through the structures that have been created, in a way we are being programmed, right? Since well, if you're born in any society, what they call modern society, then you're probably, or most likely, more programmed than, if you would grow up in a small town somewhere, or in a village, or somewhere where there is no communication, for example. So when we have all of these programs and we're kind of like used to running, we're kind of used to doing things in a certain way, and we are expected to do things in a certain way. And I know you all know this. I know I'm not saying anything new here, but sometimes that reality becomes so demanding and so overwhelming that even if we are awake, we get trapped in that again. So part of the practice and part of why we do meditation, part of why we come together, and we do healings together, and we do all of these spiritual practices, is because we're dedicating a moment of our lives specifically to the Spirit, specifically to God, specifically to our spiritual development, specifically to that communion with our soul, with our true essence, to just being who we are. And that can be such a rest, especially for people who have like very demanding jobs, or we need to do things in the physical world. But we can do things also from that higher perspective, knowing like the reality, like knowing that we're actually deciding to play a role in that reality, but the true reality, the true the true energy that we relate to has nothing to do with that reality or with the rules of that reality. So what I'm saying here is we can see beyond. Even if we're there, even if we are doing what we have to do, even if we are playing a role or playing a part, one of the things that, for example, the shamans do is they take up on roles as if they were actors. So, you may see sometimes a shaman looking in a certain way, and then the next day you won't even recognize them because their energy and the way they look, even like the dress, how they're dressed, how they're carrying themselves changes so much that you're not even able to say or to accurately say, oh, was this the same person or is this something completely different? And the reason why they do that, it's not just for having fun, playing different characters, but it's a conscious reminder of how ephemeral everything is in this reality and how we get to choose who we are every single day and every single moment, and how free we actually are to say, I don't want to play this game anymore, or I don't want to be this person anymore. I don't want to be that person that is completely stressed by all these things, or that lives in a continuous state of fear, or in a state of sadness or depression, or not feeling enough. There is, if we really tap into that fire within, into that flame within, we can change that. We can change our circumstances, and we can choose to be someone different, even if we're still ourselves. Usually when we go into the spiritual path, we start kind of digressing. Many times in the physical life, it seems like everything is going backwards, and we end up living with our parents, or we end up, I don't know, for some people it's very extreme, for others it's not that extreme on the physical, but it also depends on your level of, not your level, but how you were attaching, or how you were relating to the outside, to the physical world, to the 3D reality. And sometimes as humans, or our human part needs to go through certain experiences in order to wake itself up again and again and again. So I'm bringing this teaching or this energy because I have seen that, many people in the spiritual path, especially if there has been hardship, doubt starts to come up, or we start to think oh my God, when is this going to end? When is this going to shift? Or when are things going to happen? When am I going to see so and so in the reality? Or when am I not going to heal anymore? Or be in that state of healing. And there's a part of us that is very impatient in that. And I'm not saying I have been there, of course. Everybody goes through this process, I think. But the key is always to use the tools that you have. Because sometimes we forget. Especially when we are walking in the small path, which is, I'm reading Buddhist teachings again, so I'm relating this to the Hinayana, which is the small path, which is like the path of self-discovery and purification. But in a way, these three stages are, I think they're universal to anyone in a spiritual path. Like first is there's like this phase where you go inward and you go inside and you start to learn about yourself. Who am I? And that's the stage that many call like the dark night of the soul, and all these demons and things come out, and you start healing that and dealing with that and seeing where things came from. And you need to retract from the world a little bit to gain that perspective again, and to, for me, it's like a being reborn. And then you go into the second path, which is the Mahayana, which is you're no longer just going inward and inside. Hi Yoti, thank you. Oh, I love you too. So it's no longer you going inside and just, being in that hermit mode and studying and developing your spiritual practice and your discipline and, your resilience, because those are the building blocks. And in the Mahayana, the second path, that's when you kind of like come out into the world again and you start serving yourself and serving others. You start loving yourself and practicing that love for yourself and loving others. Hi, Heather. How are you, darling? So, when we go out and we start serving others, or we start relating to other people again, we come out of this like cocoon or this like hermit stage, basically, where we were building our practice, and where the only mission or the only thing that we had to do in that phase was develop our spiritual practice. So when we come out of that and we start serving, and we start serving ourselves, we have to have that practice established. That's when we kind of get some trials. If we really did master the first path, if we really did anchor our practice so deeply within us that we can continue our practice and deepen it, even if we are outside in the world, even if we are talking to people, even if we are serving others, if you're healers, even if you're giving healing to others, or providing whatever you provide for others and for yourself. So that's like the second stage. And then the third stage is much more complicated than that, but it's basically how integrated the first and the second are. Depending on how integrated they are, you come into the third stage, and that's like let's say the final trial, or it's like a big trial if you're able to kind of like be in the world with these two paths integrated in you. And the way that you integrate them is that you never stop going through those paths. You never stop the first practice that you learned, and you never stop the second practice that you learned. Oh, hi Alex. So grateful to have you here. Tina. Do I seem familiar? That's so funny. Hi Kelly. Hi Craig. Oh, just saying hi to everyone. So anyways, the more advanced, what I'm saying here is that the more advanced you become, the more you advance in your journey, even if it's just a step, even if you just mastered one meditation, even if you just mastered inner peace, even if you just mastered stillness, or even if you just mastered not reacting to a certain trigger or to certain things that would normally trigger you. all of those things, which are basically the expansion of your consciousness, of your divine consciousness, all of those things are linked to each other. So it's like every little bit that you master, no matter how small it may seem or how big it may seem, they're always tied to the next step and to the next step. But in those steps, it's always very important not to forget the basics. And the basic is what? To come back to you, to have that time and that space with yourself, to have your spiritual practice, and to use those tools that you develop in all of your paths, in all of the stages, to learn how to use them and to be quick to use them, to know, to have the clarity of mind to act on your guidance, to act on your intuition, to act like even if you're in the midst of something, or maybe you had a fight or you had an argument and you're feeling yourself like, oh my god, I'm getting triggered, this is coming back, I thought I had mastered this. Maybe it comes from the past. When you're there, you can say, okay, what are my tools? Can I go into silence? Can I go into space? Can I just breathe in? Can I start breathing in deeply? Or can I just chant a mantra and calm down and come back into stillness? And then reassess the situation. So, our spiritual practice, in the most mundane terms, or in the most mundane expressions of it, it allows us to be still and to have a certain level of peace, a certain level of it's like integrity, a certain level of truthfulness to ourselves first. But then when we come out of that first path, then we start to have that also with everything and with everyone. And it doesn't have to be intentional. Just the fact that you surrender to your spiritual practice, to doing your meditation every day, even if you only can sit down for 10 minutes, whatever it is that you dedicate to yourself, to God, to your expansion of consciousness, do it every single day, just like you take a shower, just like you brush your teeth. And even if you're not really sure what you're doing or what's happening, everything will start to develop within you and without. I remember when I was coming out of a very big period of doing a lot of meditation and doing a lot of spiritual work. I was basically just living in the spiritual realms. And I'm not saying to do that. I had to go then through the whole process of integrating through the body, because I had been just completely out of my body, and but after that period, I just noticed that some of the things that were so deeply wired in my brain, in how I would react to certain things, they vanished. And I wasn't even setting an intention for them to vanish, or I wasn't setting an intention to purify this particular thing that I thought, was hindering me or whatever. The divine consciousness within you, when you dedicate time to it, it will purify what it needs to purify, because it's divine intelligence. So what that means is that it is intelligent, right? And it is not just intelligent like what we consider intelligent in the human world, but it's divinely intelligent. So it goes way beyond what we can even conceive and perceive. And it knows everything about you because it's a part of you. So if we surrender to that part of us, and if you only make it your practice to surrender to that divinity within you, to that divine consciousness, it will automatically start helping you and supporting you. And you don't have to control in which way you're being supported or helped or assisted, you know? Like many times we think, even in the spiritual journey, when we are there, we're like, okay, well now I have to get rid of this and this, or I have to do this meditation in order to do that, or I have to do this meditation to manifest that. And all of your intentions, of course, setting intentions is always good, and that's the way that we direct energy. But the less attached you are to the outcome of that, and the more open you are to be transformed by that divine consciousness and to be healed and to receive what you need and not particularly what you want, that's when we start to see all the miracles happen. So let me just read some of the comments. Craig, when is your birthday? Let me know. Anyway, so when we go through periods of time like this, when things get tough or rough, or we experience a lot of change or a lot of chaos, go to the basics. That's my advice for everyone. Like, return to that basic sitting down, slowing down, coming to the awareness that even what you're thinking has no power over you. If you choose so, if you decide that. So it's like us becoming aware that we can take off this costume, we can take off this whatever layer that we're wearing, even if the layer is suffering and pain, even if the layer is lack and scarcity, even if that layer is whatever it is, feeling misunderstood by the world, whatever is there, you can take off all of those layers. You can even take the layer of pain, even the layer of physical pain. When you go into a state of stillness and meditation, you know, sometimes things that happen to us, even if we judge them through the human mind as something good or bad, or even if we feel the pain, we feel the suffering of what's happening, we can always choose to disidentify from, let's say, the things that block us from moving forward, or the things that prevent us from being in our center again. Because even if you are in your center, that doesn't mean that you're not going to feel pain, or that you're not going to feel suffering, or that you're not going to, go through the experience that you need to go through. But what it means is that you're going to be able to see it from all of these different perspectives. And you will also have the support and the perspective of the soul. And when we have that, no matter what you're going through, it becomes so much easier. And instead of there being a fear of the unknown and what's going to happen, what we start to develop is actually hope and faith in what is to come and in who we are. So I know that, having hope and faith is one of the most difficult things to convey or to speak about, because it's something so, in a way, so sacred, but also it's something that we create as human beings, that we're able to create. Just like we're able to heal someone, just like we're able to receive healing and be healed. And the only thing that we need to do is, instead of controlling that, is just a little bit like stepping aside and allowing the divine to flow through you, to flow through your heart, and to heal that which is causing pain, or to go to those places in your body that need help or assistance. And we don't really know how it happens. Like, I was talking to some of my students from Brave, from the program, and they're all healers, right? And I was just telling them, because they were saying, well, I don't know exactly what's happening when this and this. And I was like, you mentally don't have to know. Like, if you're able to surrender that and to just let the divine act through you, you will instantly know exactly what to do. But that doesn't mean that your human mind comprehends or even has the concepts and everything that it needs in order to even make sense of what's happening. So when we are in a tough situation, or when we're dealing with something, we can always check in and say, okay, how is my human self doing? How is my inner child? Yes, my dear Tina, I'm a healer. How is my inner child? How is my ego doing? How is my attachment to things, to people, to certain situations? How is it handling this particular thing that just happened? So we're able to kind of like see all these different perspectives. When we're able to do that, we actually become aware that that's like embodying our multidimensionality. That's seeing that we are not just one thing, and we are not just what we believe, and that even what we believe doesn't determine what we're capable of. If we decide to stop believing it and we choose to believe something different. Okay. So, for example, there are people who are not really in the spiritual path, and sometimes they come to me and they say, "Oh, you're a healer, so what do you do, or what do you heal?" And many times I've had the comment like, "Well, because I'm not religious, and I don't believe in God, so I would that work for me? Even if I don't believe in that?" And I always laugh, and I'm like, sure, if you believe, if you're open to receive healing, it will work. It doesn't matter what you believe, because your soul guided you here, and your soul guided you to receive something. If you're open to receiving that, of course you can be healed, and you can not believe in anything. And then after these experiences, many people that didn't believe, sometimes they start believing, or they have a doubt, or they have a seed of, maybe there's something else out there. Maybe it's not just what I believe. Maybe it's not all up to me. but I can actually surrender to a higher power, to a higher divine intelligent source, where I can surrender, to be open to manifest a miracle. And this may surprise some of you, but we're more wired intrinsically as human beings to receive miracles than we are to believe that we are not magical and that we are not able to create miracles and that we can't. Like, our human spirit, and if you see children, who are less programmed than anyone, they're the ones who believe in magic the most. They're the ones who believe in, who see through things, who see beyond things, who can see exactly, if someone is lying, or if someone is, like, they can see so much more. And they're open to everything. If you tell a child, Santa Claus is coming in a snow thing, and they're coming to bring you gifts, they're going to be like, awesome, like waiting at the chimney, If you tell them the tooth fairy is going to come and bring you something for your tooth, they're going to believe that. We all did. Or, in whatever culture you grew up in, there are always these things. But we believe that not because we are dumb or because we don't know or because we're naive. We believe that because we know that everything is possible. Because at that stage, no one has told us that, things are not possible, or things should just be this way or that way, or that this and this exists, or that this goes like this. So, just like Mikey was saying about reprogramming and recalibrating, there's a lot of reprogramming that we do, but there's also like a bigger force when we surrender. Because sometimes the journey in spirituality, if we start to treat it as a job, or we start to go at it with the same energy that we would, with our 9-to-5 job, or with our stress in, environment, or where we work, like if we start treating it that way, we miss out on so much. So that is why we bring the sacredness, we bring honor, we bring reverence into the practice. We bring humility. We bring, we don't bring, we can bring, our ego and all of these things. They will come, we can bring them, especially in the beginning, into the practice, but they will become very, very uncomfortable. And they will start like feeling the burn of, oh my God, I'm not real, I'm fading. And that's a stage that we also go through. Okay, and that's necessary. And sometimes it's even painful. But at the same time that it's painful, it's also liberating us. It's also giving us back our freedom to choose again with a higher consciousness. Previous to our awakening or to coming to a spiritual path, most of the choices we made were not really taken from a conscious mind or through that conscious perspective. They were usually taken by the things that we knew, by our mind, by rational. For some, maybe, from the heart, which is a gift. And probably the ones of you who are very sensitive, who have made a lot of choices through the heart, you had probably a lot of backlash and a lot of, maybe people not responding in the same way. Because most of the people are not open nowadays. Like, most of the people are very closed off, and most of the people walk with a lot of shields and a lot of masks and a lot of protection because they're afraid to be heard again. Hi, dear Bobby. Hi, Christy. Okay. For Craig, what would surrender look like in my situation? That seems hard to find or know how to do so. When we do the healing now, Craig, if you want, you can just set the intention that through the healing, you receive either the guidance, on how to surrender, or you can just choose if you want to surrender to that energy and to let that energy show you the way. And also, they're saying to be open to receive. Many times the more sensitive we are, the harder time we have to receive. When we start to receive something, we're like, oh my god, what? Like, I don't know if I told you guys, but the first time that I got a massage, it was very late in my life. It was, I think, like, I don't know, about like a year ago or 2 years ago. And I have never gotten a massage. I don't know why. Never. And when I went there, and also the practitioner was amazing, an amazing healer, and masseuse from Ayurveda or whatever, but we were just starting the session, and it was just like she was just chanting and opening in the traditional way how they open for that kind of Ayurveda massage. And while that was happening, I just started to feel like the tears coming down my eyes. Like, she just put her hand on my head and was just saying her prayers like she usually does. And I was just starting like crying and crying, and the whole massage, I was crying. But I was crying because I felt so much gratitude for everyone in this world who does that. For anyone in this world who gives healing to others, who opens a space for others, who gives whatever they give to others. And I just felt so blessed, and I felt so held. And at the time, she was a complete stranger, but I was just like, I was able to feel, in a way, the other side of being a healer, right? Because when you're in healer mode, let's say, you're always giving. Of course, you're also receiving, but you're always like in a giving mode. Like, that's especially when you're in service, right? You're always like, if anything happens, or maybe that's just the way that I have developed my spiritual path, but it's more that like maybe 90% of the time we're on the giving than the receiving. So, and that happens the same even if you're not a healer. When you're a sensitive being, when you're a very empathic soul, you're able to feel the feelings of others before yours, or you're able to put the feelings of others before yours. And that which is actually a gift and which is very useful for healing, but if we're not using it in that way, or we're not taking care of ourselves, we end up giving to everyone, and trying to save everyone and to make everyone be okay and happy, and then we get drained because we're not filling up ourselves and we're not receiving enough. Okay, so that's a little bit for my dear Craig, that I don't know exactly why it came up like that, but maybe practicing to just be open to receive more. And if people offer you help, if things like even, to ask for help from God, from the universe, because sometimes as sensitive being, we're also like, oh, I don't want to bother God with my tiny stuff here from the 3D. I don't want to bother my angels with my problems, my 3D problems. But you should. And it's not like you're bothering them, but you're actually practicing to handle life and to go through life with help, with support. And asking for help, asking for what you need, asking for that for someone who normally doesn't ask for anything is also something that can be very difficult, and it's also a practice. And it's not, of course, it's not asking from a place of, my ego, like, oh, I want to win the lottery, or like things like that. It has to be deeper than that. It has to be coming from your heart. It has to be purified, and it's okay to ask for help, because your divine guides and your whole divine guidance system, let's say, it's there to support you and assist you in everything. That's why we have it. It's not there just so we use it, in the higher dimensions, because in the higher dimensions we don't even need it. Where we need the GPS and where we need all of the, all of the tools and everything is here. Because here is where we are facing all the challenges. Here is where people are suffering. Here is where there's so much going on that for a sensitive being, just, being in this world, feeling what everything that is happening, it can even just be shocking. But we need to come out of that shock if we want to be of service to ourselves and to others. If we want to contribute to the peace, we have to come to a place of peace. If we want to contribute to the love, we have to become that love, and we have to cultivate that love within us. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Does anyone have any question right now? Or anything that they would like to ask or to share? Let me just see the chat real quick. Okay. Okay, and one of the other things that I wanted to express was, thank you so much, being in the spiritual path, when we are talking about the spiritual path, like many people, especially if they're not really on it yet, or they're looking from outside, they're like, oh, well, you just sit there and gather and meditate, and it's all love and light, and you share love and light, and this and that. But actually, and of course many of you know this, but the spiritual path requires so much strength, so much discipline, so much resilience. Like, the reason that I called my program for healers Brave is because I found that one of the most important qualities to have in order to overcome, especially in the spiritual path, in order to overcome yourself and your own cycles, your own triggers, your own conditioning, you have to be brave. There's a part that has to develop that strength and that resilience, and that, sometimes it seems like the road is closing and closing and closing, and we're like, I have no idea what to do now. What can I do? But knowing that if things are going like that, okay, that it may seem that it's going down, it's just because you're going into deeper layers of purification and surrender. And many times, if we don't go through that and through those experiences, we don't surrender. Like, surrendering is, it seems like the easiest part, and you can say, yes, I surrender, but to truly, truly surrender is something that goes beyond just, the concept or the idea of allowing things to just be how they are. It is to allow things to be just how they are, but it is built on that relationship that you have to God and to divinity. And that is what kind of like keeps that line straight, keeps that energy flowing to you. That's what starts to align everything in your life. Because if we surrender and we haven't yet developed a certain amount of trust in the divine, faith in the divine, communion with the divine, our practice with the divine every day, with that divine consciousness within us, then it's like we're surrendering blindly. But the type of surrender that I'm speaking about is, yes, it's blindly in a way because you don't know what's going to happen, but it's actually the most conscious choice that you have ever made. To actually say, you know what, I'm done. Managing this, I'm going to surrender it to that higher aspect of myself. And just to give you a practical example of this, because I know it's a little bit hard to comprehend, and I'll just go to the chat in just a second. But, the ultimate surrender is something that, for example, they do also in shamanic practice when, they talk about death and having death as your companion. And it's not just any death, it's your own death, okay? And for some that may sound like, oh my God, but it's actually like knowing, like having that perspective and having that surrender as if you knew that this is your last moment on this earth. That kind of surrender. Like if you're nurses or doctors and you have worked or you have seen someone close who is about to pass, to go into the other dimensions or to go beyond the veil, there is a moment where there is this deep surrender that occurs. And maybe we cannot even grasp it, but it's just like something in the eyes just changes, and it's like everything is going to be okay. And many times we find that the people who are going to go are more ready and prepared and are already surrendered than, for example, the family or the members that are around them. And they even comfort the families that are there because they know that everything is going to be okay no matter what. So when we still think that things are not going to be okay and that things are going to go, haywire, or that things are going to go wrong, or that we're afraid that we're going to lose things, or we're afraid that we're going to get hurt, or we're afraid that we're going to be misunderstood, or we're afraid that we're going to be judged or criticized, or we're afraid of, even diseases, or we're afraid of things that are completely outside of ourselves, or that apparently are outside of ourselves. When we're still in that, we haven't fully surrendered. Because when you surrender, even if you're in the midst of craziness and chaos, or even if you're faced with a very hard situation, it doesn't mean that you don't feel, it doesn't mean that you're not, that you don't feel your emotions, that things are not going through your head, but it means that a deeper aspect of you knows that everything is going to be okay. Even if you don't marry the person that you thought that you were always going to marry. Even if you don't become the person that you always thought that you were becoming. Even if you don't get the job that you always thought that you were going to get. You know, if we can be okay with everything that happens beyond our control, beyond our expectations, beyond our wants, if we can be okay with surrendering and saying, you know what, like, this is what I want, but if you have anything better, or if you have anything that's going to, you know, if there's anything else that you would like to bring, I'm open for it. Let's do this. And of course, we're talking about something that has a bigger capacity to bring you where you need to be, or to take you where your soul wants to go. So that's when we surrender to the soul, to the part of us that knows truly from the heart, from the inside, from the divine consciousness, what we are, who we are, and what we're meant to be doing here. And many times that has nothing to do with what we believe that we should be doing and how we should be doing things. And many times it has nothing to do with, you know, how much we feel attached or we feel for someone or for something. And this is important to grasp or to practice. It doesn't mean that you have to do everything in one day and that you're just going to like surrender everything, you know, in one day, but it's part of the practice of surrendering. And just to keep track that you're, you know, if you want that, if you want to become free, if you want to feel free, if you want to feel love, if you want to feel peace, if you want to feel stillness, then you have to let go of the things that were creating the opposite. And most of the times those are beliefs, those are emotions triggered by beliefs and belief systems that are there. Sometimes they're unconscious, sometimes they're conscious. So when we do the first path, when we walk that first path, we go so deep inside that we start finding where these things are. We start locating, okay, this is here. Oh, okay, I have this here. Oh, I just saw this person. I got hugely triggered. Okay, this is here. And it's not to judge and to be like, oh my God, I'm so bad. I have this, you know. But it's to say, okay, I have this. What do I want? Do I want to continue to, you know, to go forward in this path? Do I want to become free of this? And if the answer is yes, then you have the tools within you. You can continue your practice. And you can choose to disidentify from that. And sometimes it takes a little bit, it takes a while, or it takes practice, or maybe it takes a couple of healings, or it takes going, you know, asking for help, or going to get help from someone else who is perhaps further along in the path, but that can guide you where you are, or that can meet you and understand what you're going through. But all of that is part of the spiritual path. Like, it's not just about, you know, saying I surrender and sitting, you know, that's one part of it. It's a big part. And that's like the part where we just become stillness and we become the vessel and we receive that, all that we need to receive. And then the more we build that practice, we start to receive guidance. We start to receive, you know, oh, maybe I should call this person. Oh, maybe I should read this book. Oh, maybe I should, you know, go here. And that's all part of your spiritual path. And that's all part of the magic unfolding. And those are all of the synchronicities and all the miracles that are unfolding for you to become who you are, to go back to you. So it feels like we're losing things, losing stuff, losing things, losing identities, losing. But you know what happens when you lose all of that? Even if it's scary, then you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I'm free of this. I thought I was going to be trapped in this my whole life, or I was trapped in this like 15 years of my life, and now I see that it was just something that I was carrying. And it doesn't matter how long it was there. What matters is what you do now, how you act now, how you act in every present moment, and the choices you make there. Okay. Yes, and life is hectic, like Craig says, and it's difficult, and there are, it's complicated sometimes, and even human relationships are complicated. Everything has a depth, and everything can be very, very complicated, but everything can also be simplified. You also have the tools to go up to that perspective where everything is so simple. And that's what the shamans use, for example, the death part. Like, okay, if I was going to die tomorrow, or, in 1 hour, and I know many people don't like to say those things or think about that, but for me, I don't feel like anything. So just, if you don't like that, just don't mind me. But like, if I were to be gone in 1 hour from here, would this thing matter so much? Like what would I do? Like, would this particular issue be my main concern? Or would I maybe, be spending some quality time with my parents, or with my family, or with my dog? Or, would I be enjoying myself and just going out for an ice cream, or anything like that? So those things that come into perspective, we can practice them, and we start to build like our resilience, we start to build our strength. And then next time something happens, or you're in the same situation, or for example with relationships, because this has been coming up a lot, of course, Mercury retrograde and all that. But if you go through like a similar experience, you can decide also, like, am I going to continue on this cycle of suffering, or of feeling bad, or feeling a certain way? Or can I choose something different? Even if I don't know how that something different looks like right now. Oh, I'm so sorry, dear Tina. I'm so sorry for your loss. And to Funtin, I don't have a remedy for COVID, but we're going to do a healing now, okay, for everyone who is online and everyone who will join us later, maybe through the stream or whatever. So we're going to do a healing, okay? So you can set your intention to just be open to receive for whatever it is that you need healing. Okay. Nothing to be sorry, Craig. Okay. Anyone else has a question or something they want to share before we go into healing? Let me know. I'm so sorry, darling. We're going to bring in some healing, okay? Okay. So, if you guys want, you can lay down or, be in a comfortable space, okay? Thank you so much, Tina. If you can be with your spine straight, that would be great. Either lying down or just sitting. You can sit in lotus with your hands facing upward to receive, or just however you feel comfortable. But if you want to lay down, you're welcome to laying down. Hi, dear TP. I hadn't seen you. Anything that you would like to include in the healing? And train right healing. Yes. Exactly. Oh, Louise. Okay. So we're going to bring in healing, and before we go into healing, because maybe I'm going to forget afterwards, but I'm going to be doing a healing circle on Thursday for the new moon, and it's going to be specifically for divine masculine and for men. So in the full moon ceremonies that we do every month, usually we're more like the divine feminines. There are more feminines and women in those circles. So I wanted to open up a space specifically for the masculine energy to be able to receive healing, and to also talk about what they're going through and how they're going through these changes, and assist the masculine energy in particular, because most of the things that we do in the full moon, even though everyone is invited to the full moon ceremonies, but usually they end up being more with the feminine energy. So we work a lot with the feminine energy in those healings. So because of everything that is happening now, I wanted to do this, open this space specifically for masculine and for men. So any one of you, who have perhaps your divine masculine, or perhaps, your son, your cousins, whatever, if you feel like maybe they would be, open to receiving, or if they would benefit, or if they would like to ask some questions about spirituality or whatever, come together in a sacred space, please share this. Please share it with them. It's on donation. It's like the other full moons, it's a $20 donation, and it's going to be on Thursday, 8 p.m. CST. Okay, so okay, let me see. TP, I recently healed my dear friend, but no relief on the patient. Okay, let me see. TP, they're saying give it a couple of days. Give it a like 6 or 7 days. Also, if you did pranic healing, pranic healing usually sometimes, well, what I saw a lot, especially in the beginning, it has kind of like this delayed effect. So, always tell your patients, like, go about your life, do your thing, no expectations. Like if they're expecting something, if you see that they're expecting, but just, tell them that they will also integrate the healing gradually, okay? And that this is very specific for my dear TP because she was also in the Brave program, so I know her and I know how she works and I know her energy, okay? This is not an advice for everybody, so please, don't take it for everyone. But give it a couple of days, dear TP, like 6-7 days, and then let me know, okay? Okay, so to clear Akashic records, okay, we can, well, first of all, when we talk about Akashic records, we can all access our Akashic records, like we can all access the information of our soul. And for me, the most direct way, like if you know of something or you have seen something that you want to clear, then it may be worth it to like use that guidance and go ahead and go there and ask if it can be cleansed, or ask if you can release that. But if there's nothing in particular that you have that has come to your awareness, and you just want to clear them because people talk about that and talk about clearing your Akashic records or clearing karma or clearing this, what I would say is the fastest way to clear karma, let's say, or to build your dharma, is to actually purify yourself, of course, develop your spiritual practice, and also bless people, bless everybody, and bless the situations, bless whatever happened. And it's kind of like focusing on the light, focusing on what you want to, not what you want to manifest, but just focusing on healing that and letting it be healed, rather than kind of like using a certain technique or a certain way to go into the Akashic records and clear a certain thing. Like if that's the guidance that your field is giving you, that your energy is giving you, then by all means do it. But if not, I would say the way to clear everything is just to have your spiritual practice every day, and to have a specific meditation maybe to purify and to cleanse all of the old things, everything that is not serving you, and then to fill up with energy, with fresh energy. So I don't know, Padmaya, if you have heard about the Twin Heart meditation, but that's like a very good tool and a very good like ground meditation that you can use, and you can use every day. If you want, you can use it for years. I have been using it for many, many years. And you continue to purify, you continue to develop, and you continue to grow spiritually. And at the same time, you bless the earth, you bless your loved ones, you can even bless yourself, you can bless your projects, you can bless everything. But first you come into a state of neutrality, tranquility, peace, love, and then from there you start blessing. Okay? And otherwise, if you are a little bit advanced in your spiritual practice, you can just, sit down in silent meditation and set the intention to, of course, with help of the guides and your teams and your angels and everyone, your spiritual teachers, to help you clear whatever needs to be cleared in your field, whether it's in your Akashic records or in other parts of your body, your mind, your soul, your multidimensionality, and all layers and beyond. Okay? So that way you kind of like send all parts of you in through that healing. Okay. Okay. Um, for Tina, yes, I mean, there are people who read the Akashic records, and there's like a whole modality of healing where practitioners kind of like, it's kind of like they guide you into your own Akashic records and they're able to channel information for you. But as always, you know, like if you want to become a practitioner, I mean, it's important that you do it and you learn with a teacher that you trust and someone that you really trust to do any kind of spiritual work or to learn any kind of spiritual things, right? Hi, Allison. Welcome. And second of all, like, I would never encourage anyone to look into anyone's field or other energy unless they're asking you to do that for them, or you know, you already know how to do it and you are a practitioner of that, and your intention and your only intention is to serve them and to help them heal. Otherwise, I wouldn't suggest to look into anyone's field or energy or read anything, even if you could, because that only creates like karmic entanglement and you know, bad karma, basically. So it's always very important to understand that with doing your spiritual practice and with developing your gifts, the more you develop, the more you advance in the spiritual path, the more responsibility you carry. The more you serve others, the more responsibility you have, not just for yourself, but for everyone. And it's not, you don't take on their responsibility is their responsibility, but you have to, you know, in order to come into that place of service, in order to come into that place where you are assisting others, you have to have walked a certain path where you have, you know, your integrity, a lot of these tools already built within you. Because if you don't go through the whole purification path that you must go through, and you step into service too quickly, you may get burned. Well, not burned, but you know, you may get a big backlash, or you know, if you're not handling your gifts properly, if you're not being responsible with your own energy, with the energy of other people, you can get into a lot of trouble. So it's very, very important to do things mindfully, and if you're not sure, always, you know, seek a teacher, seek a spiritual teacher. We're all becoming our own masters and our own healers, and we're in that place, you know, in coming to this era where this is possible, but there is still so much that needs to be learned, and there is still so many things, like even as a healer, for example, myself, or even as someone who teaches about spirituality, I'm always a student too. I'm always, you know, learning from my teachers, seeking for other teachers. If I feel like I have completed a stage with a certain teacher, then I go to another teacher, or even healing modalities. You know, now I develop my own way of healing, but before that, it was years and years and years where I was going through many different modalities and learning with different kinds of healings, and also, you know, very non-typical healings, and healings where you don't get a certification and you don't get anything, and then healings where you do, you know, like more westernized healing techniques, and but also very not like very original healing techniques. So, you know, we're always learning, and there's always someone who is you know, more advanced, and there's and that's a good thing, because that means that we can always ask for help, we can ask for trouble if we get stuck in the way, we can always look up to our teacher, not look up in a way of, oh, they're up there and I'm down here, but it's more like they have walked the path, so they know, they have, you know, more tools in their in their basket they have more things, and sometimes just by asking, you receive the tool from that teacher, because spiritual teachers also transmit spiritual energy. Healers transmit also healing energy. So even if you have no idea what I'm saying right now, or even if you have no idea what your teacher is saying, if your soul feels guided to them, you may just receive a lot of energetic information, and you may receive a lot of healing. You may receive a lot of things that will come up into your awareness afterwards, or maybe in a year or two, or maybe in 10 years. I, for example, now see things that, a teacher of mine said to me 10 years ago. And when he said it, it didn't make sense to me. But now I understand exactly what he meant when he said that. And that's the beauty also of things. And we all have our own timing, and the way that we develop and the way that we are going on the path. But this is the message to say, if it gets tough, keep going. Like go through it until you find the light again, because you can always move forward through the light. Your practice will always bring you forward, no matter how stuck you feel life is, no matter how ingrained your belief system may be. If you continue your practice diligently, it will start to take an effect. And maybe in 2 years from now, it will have a very big effect. Sorry for the noise. It will have a very big effect, and you will just, have this big leap of consciousness. For some, it happens like that. For others, it just happens gradually. Okay, but don't think that because you're not seeing things, or things are not moving right now outside, don't think that it's wrong. But rather try to surrender and to accept what is, and to develop your confidence and your trust in God, in the divine, and in your path, in yourself, in your soul. Okay? Okay, guys. So, I'm getting a little tired of speaking just because of the whole truth thing, but let's just go into the healing now, okay? Pai says, I feel our field shows what is ready to be cleared when it's the right time. And may even have the same thing come up again to clear more later, because we may not be ready to clear all of it at once. Yes, that is very, very true, Bobby. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. So that's why I always say, focus on the present moment. I know it's very hard, and many of us like to, there are some people who plan their whole lives ahead of themselves, and they know that by this age I want to do this, I want to do that, want to do that. And that's all great. But, if you're being led by spirit rather than by your mind, and if you're choosing a path of heart, which basically is, honoring your soul, when you do this, everything that starts to unfold from there, even if it's stagnation, even if it's you being in a hermit state, even if things go on fire, whatever happens, you're going to be carried through, and you're going to get to the place where you need to go, and you're going to be doing what you need to do at the exact time that you need to be doing that. So when we have this and we focus in the present moment, we don't have to worry about the future. We don't have to worry about the past. And we don't have to live in the past, and we don't have to live in the future. Energetically, so many times our whole fields, our energies, when they talk about soul fragmentation, or when they talk about, soul retrieval, for example, in the shamanic practice, that is because, it's like we give part of our energy, part of our soul to things that we believe that are important or that affect us. For example, the Mexican shamans, they think that every time you fall in love with someone, you give them a piece of your soul. And so then you come to a place where you're like, oh my God, like my heart is closed. I can't feel anything. Or I'm scared of love. I'm scared of being loved by someone. I'm scared of being vulnerable. But that's just because there's this like emptiness that you're feeling from inside. And many times when we have, for example, a depression is basically a lack of energy. So you're not getting enough energy into your field, into your body, as much as you're leaking out. And many times when people are depressed, there are lots of like leaking, or there are connections that are draining them. And that can be a connection to a certain situation from the past. It can be a connection to a trauma. It can be a connection to an experience. It can be a connection to a certain person. Or it can even just be a connection to an anticipation of what they're going to become, or a pressure that they took on from their parents, where the parents said, you have to be this and this by this age or else you're like a failure. And so they develop that belief since they were little, and they literally create like themselves in the future doing that. And every time they have evidence in the present that that's not going to happen, or that that's difficult, they drain that energy to that place. So I know this sounds a little bit complicated, but basically what I'm saying is that if you're thinking about the future, there's a part of you that is projecting your energy and sending energy into the future. And if you're projecting into the past, you know, you're attached to something that happened in the past, you're constantly going back to that experience, reliving it, like your last relationship, the person who broke your heart, and you relive it, or you had a disease and you relive it, then there's a part of you that is sending energy to that part that is in the past, because we're multidimensional beings. We are existing in the past, we are existing in the future. So what happens is that our present self becomes completely drained of energy, and then we're like, I don't want to do nothing right now, because a part of you is doing a lot in the future and is doing a lot in the past. Okay, so this is just to put it very simplified, and there are other reasons why depression happens and so on, but this is a common one. So grabbing all of your energy, pulling all of your energy back into the present moment. When you do your spiritual practice, even before you begin, you can just ask, like, I ask my angels, my guides, my teams, my higher self to please bring back to me all of my energy, all of the energy that I'm giving to other people, all of the energy that is flowing outside that should be inside. It's like you retrieve and you see yourself as a river, and you're like, just bring all the water within. Like you build these canals and you see yourself just bring all of the water into your river, into your body, into this present moment. And that way you're able to support yourself so much more. You feel grounded, you have energy back, you may even have inspiration back, creativity, because you're grounding your energy within you again. So that is also a very important practice, that if you're in a spiritual path, or even if you're not, you just heard of this now, you can start practicing it. And it just goes through your intention to retrieve your energy. And when you see your mind wander again into the future, or worrying excessively about the future or excessively about the past, just bring yourself to center, ground yourself, and bring back all of your energy back to you, to that present moment, and ground there. Okay? That will be very supportive. For example, I do this, just to give you a very brief example. I notice when I'm going to travel, right? Because I have been traveling a lot my whole life. And every time I'm going to travel, I had that the day before I travel, I would become super, super exhausted, and I didn't want to pack my bags. I was like, I don't want to pack again, because I'm always packing, unpacking, packing, unpacking. And I was like, wait a minute, like, why is this happening? And something that I found was that when I'm traveling somewhere, of course, a part of me is already there in that other place where I'm going. And it's already feeling out the land, and it's already, exploring where I'm going to land and all that energetically, of course. And so, a part of me was already even experiencing the other place. And I, the one who was packing before leaving, was feeling very, very depleted. So I started to do that. And now every time that I know I'm going to travel, I do this multiple times a day, and I'm perfectly fine with packing and with my energy. Okay. So that's just a very small example of that. But it applies to much, much bigger things. Hi, Lee. Wonderful. Okay, I do it every night. Please bring my energy back to me and send anything that doesn't belong to me, whoever it belongs to. Yes, very good, Louise. That's a wonderful practice. Salome says, I'm young and left my job to devote my energy to developing deeper into my specific mission as part of my career. But I keep getting stuck in feelings of self-doubt because of age, lack of experience. Do you have any advice? Thank you. Yes. Okay. Let me see, Salome. Okay. So I'm feeling a lot of sadness. But I feel like it has to... I don't know, but I feel like it has to do a little bit with your past. But also with, I don't know if there's like something with the relationship with your mother or your parents, because I see like two figures like that. It's kind of like oppressive, like here, and you feel like sad in a way, like I don't know if this sounds true, but it's a little bit like I don't feel recognized, or I'm not going to be recognized for doing this. And I don't know if what you were previously doing was something that was more like recognizable in their eyes or something like that. But what I would say is, like, if any of this kind of like sounds true or or coincides with the situation, I would say like start working from within. Oh, so sorry. I was just receiving a call. It's like working from within. Anything that makes you like doubt yourself or afraid of, because it's kind of like hiding in the shadows. It's like afraid of coming out, afraid of being who you are, of saying what you mean. Like, I don't know if you're like a very gentle soul, you feel like that. But I would say work on building your inner strength, and any support that you need, that you may have previously perhaps expected from others or from your parents or from people. Try to bring all those expectations into your channel and into God. And anytime that you feel like you're not being seen or recognized, try to find that recognition in the divine. Recognize yourself. as the divine being that you are, recognize your career, recognize all the hard work that you have done, recognize everything that you have sacrificed to be where you are, and honor all of that journey, and perhaps just being in gratitude for being in that place where you actually put yourself, which is amazing, that you can do what your soul is calling you to do. And any time that there is doubt, and this is something that I do, okay, I do it all the time, and I did it so much more in the beginning, but I still do it all the time. I always ask for strength from God. Like, God, give me strength and give me the courage that I need to keep going, to do my mission, to do what I'm here to do, even if I don't know exactly what that is. Because we're always growing and our missions are always expanding, and we have so many possibilities within us. So we can also remain open to that, but just ask God, to guide you, ask that divine intelligence within you to lead the way. And if you're feeling like you need more support, ask for support every single day. If you need more support, ask for support every hour. And then just sit down and receive. Okay. And that will help to flush out of your system all of those doubts, all of the the doubts perhaps from your family, from friends, from other people who don't understand what you're doing. Because much of what we do as light workers and as healers, the miracles that we get to witness, there are so many that we're not going to be able to share in a way, which part of it is very beautiful, and then another part is of course we're going to be able to share them maybe in a different way. We will share them through our experience, we will share them through words, we will share them through other ways, because in the end that's love. But when we're in the midst of it, for example, and we witness something beautiful, or we witness a miracle, or we accomplish something, our first reaction is oh, I did this, I want to call someone and tell them that I did this, or I want to celebrate with someone. And in the spiritual path, many of those celebrations, you celebrate them with God. You celebrate them with your teams, you celebrate them with your angels, you celebrate them with you. And you learn to be your best friend. And you learn to be okay with celebrating those things from within. And then eventually, you also start calling in more of your soul family, and then, communities like this one. This is why I opened this. This is why we do the collective healing work, because that's where we also get to share these things and we get to celebrate together. But it's not a bad thing, to celebrate alone. And sometimes that is required, because that's just you recognizing you. That's you seeing your beauty, your grace, your divinity, your value. And you are the one who has to see it. It doesn't matter if anyone else in the world sees it. As long as you see it, you're good to go. You have your tools, you have your mission, you have everything that you need. And if you continue on that path, you'll probably find all the souls that will celebrate with you when the time is right. But sometimes we are meant to go through these processes where we just feel like we're going, in darkness, blindfolded. We have no idea. We just have our soul guiding us. And it's a strong calling, because the soul it can be subtle, but it can also be very strong, But when you start to learn how to differentiate the calling of your soul, if it's the soul, honor it, go with it, go for it, provide, the right qualities for it to develop, to unfold, and provide for yourself. Especially when we are young, and sometimes not even, sometimes if we had lack, or our parents didn't provide things for us that, ideally they should have, or, when we grow up with this lack or with this feeling of, not being enough and things like that, when we start, we're put kind of like back into that where no one sees us, no one approves of us, we're the crazy ones, All my students always say, I'm the black sheep of the family. Everybody is the black sheep, And that's like part of the kind of like the storyline, the stage for soul to develop even faster, right? Sometimes, and of course, if the soul chooses to. But the more trauma, drama, pain, suffering that we experience, especially in our first years of life, the more we get kind of like propelled into developing certain qualities like compassion, forgiveness, understanding. And I think the biggest one, if you experience suffering, is to have compassion for others. Because if you haven't really experienced suffering in this lifetime, or you have experienced very little, it's hard to relate to someone who is experiencing suffering. So if your mission is to become a healer, or to become someone who is going to provide a lot for others and work in the way that most of the light workers are working right now, it's kind of like you have to go through the crash course very fast and learn a lot of things and develop everything that you are, not just your spirituality, but also your mind, your emotions, your emotional intelligence, and everything that is you. And you develop all of that because you're meant to help others overcome those things, and you're meant to do so much more than that. But sometimes, we have to go through that period where the only one who is reassuring you is you. The only one who's giving your strength is you. I'm not saying everyone, and I hope that, most of you have someone, or have, a different path, but I'm talking a little bit about my path and the path that I have seen with many healers and friends that are in the same kind of line of work, let's say. Or they're just awakened at this time, awakened souls. So try to remember to view whatever is happening to you not from the eyes of the regular human being or the person that you used to be, but try to see it from the perspective, oh, I'm giving a chance right now to be independent in my emotions. I'm giving the opportunity to myself to nurture myself, to learn how to grow myself, to develop myself, to appreciate myself, to see myself, to value myself. Okay? And if you do that, and you continue to build that, even that self-love practice, that is why I also always talk about self-love, but if you continue to do that, there will be a moment where there will be no doubt in your mind. Even if you have no idea what you're doing, but there's no doubt that it's exactly what you need to be doing. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay. Let me see. Star Lotus says, do you have any advice for developing my channeling abilities? Right now it comes and goes randomly. Meditation doesn't seem to help either. Yes. Okay, first be very clear, why do you want to develop them? Like, what would you do if you had your skills already developed? That like that is the first step for me. And I would, journal, write it down, take a couple of weeks and see if it changes, like why you want to do that. And then, if the answer, like if you're okay with the answer and you're certain about why you want to develop them, you're so welcome, Salome. The fastest way, and I always say that to my students as well, is your skills develop according to your own spiritual development. So they develop when you're ready to receive them, at the exact time that you're ready to receive them. And that means many things. It means that you have like a spiritual basis already, that you have built sufficient strength in your physical body to hold that energy, to hold that spiritual energy. And meditation always helps to develop your spiritual gifts, but it's a gradual change. Every time you meditate, it's like you have this channel, okay? Very like simplifying it. You have this channel. Every time you meditate, you open it a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. And let's say in order to activate your spiritual gifts, you need to have a certain amount of spiritual energy flowing through your body. So maybe you need this amount. Okay? So until you have built that structure where enough spiritual energy can flow through, those gifts will start to activate. So always it's important to continue to develop your spiritual practice. And also sometimes, well, with that being said, there are also times where we see a lot of things, where we feel a lot of things, where we feel like, oh my God, I'm seeing everything. My third eye opened, like people say, like my third eye opened. It's very funny. But what they mean is like it's activated, right? Or your clairvoyance may be activated at some point. That's very good. But it may also go away again. Or you may, for example, become a very, very good dreamer and experience lucid dreams, and then maybe it will go away. Like those capacities, spiritual gifts, especially if you're not using them to heal and treat others and to serve the world, they will usually like come and go. Or it's like you're activating a part and it may stay for a little while, but it may also go or change, or you may go and activate another part and then you may activate another. And for me, the most important thing is that you develop your spiritual practice no matter if you are seeing results, let's say in the physical, of your spiritual gifts, because we don't do spiritual practice just to develop spiritual gifts. The spiritual gifts develop as a result of having a constant discipline and a spiritual practice. Of course, if you feel, or your soul is telling you that you're a healer, or that you have the capacity to assist others, and that is why you feel like you want to develop those capacities, because you're feeling the call, then you can just speak to God and say, God, I'm here. I want to help. I want to assist. Please guide me in my spiritual practice. Guide me in my path so that I can develop any gifts, all my spiritual gifts, or anything that I may have to offer to others, so that I can be in service to others. But of course, that has to come from your heart and from that true desire of helping and assisting others. And when you are in that position to do that, or to say it like that, it's like you say, I'm here, you raise your hand, and then they're like, okay, let's, and then things start to develop. But the call to service and the call to serve others is very, very sacred. And so is also like receiving or activating, let's say, or developing your spiritual gifts. If you're ready, like, it doesn't matter how old you are. That's also another thing, that you may be very young and you're meant to do this, because your soul is a different age than your body. Right? I always joke and I always say, like, I feel like I'm like a grandmother inside this like younger body. And my friends that are not at all in the spiritual world or whatever, they're like, well, what are you talking about? But of course I know you guys understand what I'm saying. So if you have that and you have that calling, and you know that you're here to do that, you're always, like, I always encourage, talk to God. Go directly to the source. You don't even need to talk to your angels or anything. Just go directly to the highest aspect of you and ask if it's possible for you to develop this now. And also know why you're asking to develop it. Because, there is also this sacredness to the spiritual gifts and the whole responsibility part that is very, very important. Because even if you are not, like, even if there's a little bit of doubt of how clear you are on why you want to have those spiritual gifts and why you want to develop them, like, that's already dangerous, because the ego can come in there. So, when you receive spiritual gifts, it's not like, oh, they're my powers. They're your powers. I mean, they're the powers of the divine. You're just being a good channel for them. Okay? So the divine is acting through you. That's why we need to focus on our spiritual path and practice and purification, so that we're ready to receive that. And we're ready to honor that as it comes. And, see it as it is, that it is something that is coming through you, that it seems like it's you, but it's actually just like a deeper understanding of and seeing how energies work. And it's basically just you, your higher self, communicating with the higher self of the person that you're dealing with, or with the higher consciousness, or with the divine consciousness in all. I hope that wasn't too complicated. I didn't. Okay. Okay. Oh, great. Okay, dear Mike. Yes, I'm just going to address this before we go into the healing, okay? Yes, Star Lotus, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So for Mike, sometimes when we start our spiritual practice, or when we do meditation, we start to like connect or open. Many times the first thing that we feel as sensitive beings are the lower energies. Why this happens is because they're like the densest, and denser energy provides a contrast. Like, probably you're also feeling angelic energies, but the angelic energies are way more subtle. And if you are someone who is building, your vibration, building on your energy, your capacity to receive spiritual energy, the energy that is going to feel more discordant to you are the lower energies. So this is not uncommon that when people start meditating, they have these experiences where, you know, you get attacked, or you can't move, or they attack you in dreams, or you feel like this thing on you, or you get scared, or they scare you. And what I always say is, like, do not fear because these energies are lower in frequency. So if you see it as pure energy, the lower they are in frequency, the slower they are. Okay, so if you are light because you're a being of light and you're anchoring in the light and you are, doing your meditation, you're being filled up with light, what you're doing is you're starting to raise your vibration. So maybe if you were here, you're going to encounter some energies that are here, and sometimes some energies go into, like higher realms or dimensions, let's say. They somehow, kind of like infiltrate there, or they have something to do with our subconscious mind, or we have a contract. The reasons are multiple, but it's not really important to understand like why they're there unless it's something that is very, very recurrent. But you are able to deal with it. So what I always say is, of course, every time you meditate, every time you do spiritual practice, we always ask for protection. We always ask for, spiritual guidance. We ask for our teachers and our spiritual guides to guide us and protect us. That's always like, that's like the basic thing, right? And then if you find that when you meditate, you're seeing something or something is happening, well, first of all, if it's something that you think that you can handle, I mean, it's scary as hell. It's very, very scary. Okay. And the reason why it's scary is because when we get scared, we kind of like lose our power. It's like we disconnect a little bit from the source. So it's on purpose that they scare you somehow. Okay. So when you see anything, even if it's very scary, what I would do is just to say, write down and out, like, I'm a being of light. I ask for all my angels, my protection to be here, and I ask you to leave. You're not allowed in my space. I cancel all contracts with you, all permissions. You have to leave now. And you state that within yourself, okay? That's one of the ways. Other ways is, for example, to chant a mantra of protection. Anything that allows you to anchor in your power as the divine being that you are. Okay? So I will speak more about this, I think, another time because it's getting very late. And I'm also getting very tired of speaking, guys. So sorry, just because of my thing that I'm still in a little bit in recovery. So why don't we go into healing for everyone? And I promise I will do another video specifically talking about how to deal with these energies and these like scares and etc. Okay. Okay, so everyone can just you can just lie down. Just have a sip of water here. You can drink water if you have there. And also, please drink a lot of water after the healing and tomorrow. Okay. So let's just go into a quiet space. Let's just start breathing in deeply. You can lay down if you want, if it's possible, with a straight spine. Breathing in deeply. Okay, and we're going to call all of your angels, your guides, your teams, your spiritual teachers all the spiritual teachers that you work with, all the healing angels, all the high beings, my personal spiritual teachers. We call you for your protection, for your divine guidance, divine love, divine healing. And we ask you to encircle each and every one of you in a beautiful violet light. It's pink at the bottom and it turns into violet. You can see it's like a spiral of light just flowing from your feet all the way up through your head, all the way up to the sky, anchoring through the sky and the earth. And we're asking for each and every one of you to be divinely sealed, protected, supported during this healing, for you to receive all that is meant for you, and to release all that you're meant to release in this present moment. Nothing more, nothing less. We also ask that your capacity to receive is properly adjusted for your highest well-being, for your higher path and your spiritual evolution. We ask that all of your physical bodies are calibrated to receive all the healing, spiritual energy, healing light, and miracle light that they're meant to receive today in the appropriate rate and proportion, gracefully, divinely, peacefully. And we ask that everything that is meant to be released is properly released through this beautiful golden spiral that goes all the way down into the heart of Mother Earth. And that any density, anything that needs to be released may be transmuted as it goes into Earth and return to divine love. We're going to ask all of your spiritual channels to be cleansed all the way up. You can see how this beautiful white light starts to float, to ascend, to go up through your spiritual channel, this tube of light, all the way up through the sky, through the sun, into the heart of the divine, into the heart of God. And we're going to activate all of your pranic tube of light to start balancing all of your chakras, all of your systems, all of your channels of energy, meridians, calibrating through the masculine and feminine, calibrating through the left and right hemisphere of the brain, finding balance, peace, reconnecting earth and sky, sky and earth, as you breathe in and out. Earth and sky, sky and earth. Continuing to breathe in deeply. Now we're going to start to move into the heart. And we start to see these beautiful wings at the heart. You can feel your heart beating, moving, expanding. If you want, you may place one hand in your heart and one hand in your womb, or in your belly button if you're a man. And start to feel the beating of your heart. Start to feel this beautiful fluttering sensation. But it's very pleasant. It's the feeling of love, of peace, of contentment, of completion. We're going to start calibrating the heart, sending this beautiful pink ray all the way up into your crown. And from your crown you can see this beautiful white light flowing down into your heart. And again we send pink, rose pink energy all the way up to the crown. As we breathe in, and when you exhale, you send all of this white energy back into your heart. Continue to breathe in deeply. Continue to soften and relax. Relax your mind, your muscles, your jaw, your eyes. Relax your feet. Relax your bones. Relax all of your organs. And we're going to start to open up your field through this beautiful rose flower, or any flower that you like, that you may see. But it's this feeling of opening petal by petal to the light of the divine, to receiving this nurturance, this healing light, this awareness. And they're saying this cosmic intervention, alignment, discovery of your true self. Sorry about that. Continuing to breathe in deeply. Feeling the earth beneath your feet. And we start to see this beautiful blue crown on your head, where we can see a sphere of light in your crown. And on top of it, there's a white sphere. And we see the sphere starting to spin. Cleansing through the mind. Cleansing through the brain. Cleansing all old programming. And it starts to go down and it starts to cleanse the throat. Cleansing through the expression. Cleansing through our capacity to manifest, to create our reality. And it goes up again, a little bit above your crown. And from there, we allow it to continue to cleanse and to remove anything that is ready to be removed of your field, of the mind, of your perspective, through any connections, through the glands of your brain, through the pineal, pituitary, through the front of your head, your forehead chakra, starting to cleanse all of your perceptions and perspectives that are no longer aligning with your current energy, with the vibration that you're holding. Allowing this to happen, just receiving. And we're going to go into the nervous system. Especially they're going through your hands. And there's a point near the elbow, but on the other side. And we're starting to work through there to release any pain, any attachment, anything that you were gripping on or holding tightly that does no longer need to be held. We're asking all of these weights to be lifted off of your shoulders, off of your nervous system, off of your conscious and subconscious mind. Releasing all of the trouble, releasing all of the entanglement, releasing all of the experiencing of lack or lack of joy, lack of peace. And we're starting to activate this beautiful white flame at the center of your being, at the solar plexus, between your rib cage, where it starts. And this white flame is bringing beautiful white energy to all places that may feel empty or lacking. We're starting to release any wormholes, any loops, any karmic cycles, anything that was keeping you stuck or spinning or trapped in any way. Releasing this out of the body, out of the mind, out of the heart, out of the field. Now. Berem anhai, beren anhash itomane kwale itane kawa, ni mai shewa baua dewa, bawa dena daosho. Now we're connecting through the divine feminine, through this beautiful orange and green, emerald green energy. And it's this orange that we see on the earth, get the Great Canyon. And this is connecting you to the earth, connecting you to the heart of earth, receiving support from the Divine Mother, receiving nurturance, healing, protection, allowing to release all the stress, the tension, excess charge, electricity, and all artificial energies that do not belong in your field now. If you wish to do so, you can claim your field, your freedom, your sovereignty, through the divine light that you are as a child of God, as a daughter of God, as a son of God, son of the light. And you can see a beautiful sun at the solar plexus. We can feel the energy of the sun replenishing, allowing any tears to fall, allowing any pain to be released out of your body, allowing your true nature to be expressed, to be seen, to be recognized in this moment, in all that you are, in all your fragility, and in all your strength, because you are all, you are one. And we're just allowing these rays of light, and now they're turning into colors. They look like rays of rainbow, especially gold and orange, allowing these to flow through your body, purifying, releasing any density, any shock, any trauma, any pain, any stagnant emotion, any crystallized program, feeling, thought, anything that is not serving you anymore. Allowing yourself to feel lighter, to start to rise, to start to float and elevate through these rays of light. And we can see a beautiful dance of light, and you dancing as the light with these colors, feeling held, nurtured, relieved of all the pain, relieved of anything that was there before. Going up, up, and just receiving. As we're working through your physical body, through this beautiful silver particulate, this silver code of light that is going in through the body to clearing through the mother cells, clearing through all cellular composition, adjusting to your tones, adjusting to your vibration, receiving what you need right now. Bring in any mandalas, anything that is of service to you, that may protect you, heal you, and bring more awareness to your experience as the soul incarnated in a body. And we're just receiving a lot of love from the feminine and masculine energies, from the blue and the red, We can see Shiva and Shakti, or Jesus and Magdalene, just receiving on both sides of your body through the left and the right, receiving this divine alchemy, the possibility of mending, of healing, of uniting, of being one with all that you are, being one with God, being one with the light and with all your divine attributes. Now we're cleansing through the back of the head, the shoulders, releasing especially through the feminine, within all, any part that was repressed, where we weren't recognizing perhaps our sensitivity, our vulnerability, our need for comfort and nurturance. We see that now and we honor that now, as well as the masculine. If there was any part where we weren't paying attention to our need for safety, for stillness, for balance, for quiet, we're recognizing it now. And also our need for action, rightful action, proper action, divinely guided action. Receiving this now. Now you can just see a beautiful golden light coming in through your crown, washing all of your body, releasing any toxins, any density, any disease from the body, any pain, emotional, mental, spiritual. Just releasing, allowing this to flow through you. Te ush anamai tama tere kunya tane mai chashita daima utumiyesh uwa lai hetawa ietane shawat mi tam umai hum umai ta umai hum hewa mautu pale mahate unea. And just receiving all the blessings. We ask for all of these blessings to be extended towards anyone and anything that need them, towards the whole world, towards Mother Earth. May all of this healing ripple and manifest through each of our realities, through our co-creation, receiving healing and sending healing to everyone who needs it, sending hope to anyone who needs it, sending love to anyone who needs it, sending forgiveness to anyone who needs to be forgiven, sending compassion to anyone who has been treated harshly, sending compassion to everyone and everything Sending abundance, divine blessings, prosperity, and freedom to everyone. Sending illumination and spiritual advancement to everyone and everything. Allowing this divine consciousness to flow through you, into the world, into each particle of the universe, filling all with gold, seeing all as one. Expanding. Now we're just receiving this beautiful white blue tone all around your field as we start to seal in all these energies, all this healing light, recalibrating your field, readjusting your mind's eye, your perspective accordingly, and readjusting all of your grids and fields to better support you and to continue to heal you and to hold this healing as long as it's necessary. It is done. It is done. It is done. And so it is. So just continuing to breathe in deeply. And add your time very slowly, focusing on your breath. You can either continue there and go to sleep, or you can very slowly start to come back into the body. You're so welcome, guys. Thank you for being here. How is everyone feeling? Everyone okay? Please drink a lot of water, okay, after doing this. And if you want, you can do this again, as many times as you need. If you feel it supported you, or anytime you feel, especially during this transit, that you need a little bit of support. Okay? Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, Craig. Yes, drink a lot of water, everyone, okay? And see how you feel tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so I will see you all who want to join on Thursday. All the masculine, the divine masculine. And I will see everybody on the 24th. We have our next full moon healing, okay? So I hope everyone is doing well and stay safe, and much love to you, okay? I'll see you soon, guys. Thank you. Take care. Bye, Louise. Bye, Bobby. Bye, TP. Bye, Michael. Yes. Stay strong, guys. You can do it, okay? Bye-bye.